Okay, here we go, my friends. Ducati Multistrada V4S. First time ever riding this bike, and it's gonna go straight into off-road.
Quasi alles an. Motor Mittel eingestellt, bedeutet volle Leistung und weiche Gasannahme.
Ah, super, ja.
Passend, Traktionsrolle auf Stufe 1. Relativ wenig Unterstützung, also so wie Offroad bei KTM, ABS auch wie bei Offroad. Die Mini-Kontrolle, das Vorderrad hochkommen kann ein bisschen, aber nicht überstark. Vorne Mittel, hinten hart, Vorspannung.
So, it'll be interesting to see how this beast rides. It's always weird to be on a brand new bike that you haven't ridden before. It's hard to get to the shifter with my big boots somehow. And it's very smooth. Wow. Yeah, so you live experience it with me. So the handlebars feel super wide. If you're coming from a GS, it's probably very similar to a GS, but they're much narrower on the KTM, so they're super sort of wide handlebars. Suspension system feels good. So everything's set up to enduro mode. Baron set it up for me. That would be comparable to what I have on my my KTM. So and Dan's putting on the pace. Oh, I didn't even see this way earlier. Maybe I have, I don't know. The engine braking is pretty good on this one, which is actually nice. It's better than on the KTM. So better means more engine braking. I like that, because it just takes the speed out when you're going downhill, which I really like. So this is like the slow part here, and I'm in second gear, putting the clutch in. And it's very smooth to at low speeds. And I have to say, I can really just compare it to my bike. It's smoother than on mine. It's surprising how well this rides. Still not quite used to the wide handlebars. This is still a bit funny. I'm still pulling on too much. Really balancing myself right on the bike. It feels, but I'm starting to warm up to it. It's got the full power, so if I set it to off-road on mine, I've got 100 horsepower, which is plenty for my riding skill. Yeah, so the engine braking, deceleration, it's pretty predominant. I like that in enduro mode. I don't know if you can change that. I know this bike is highly customizable, and I really have no idea what you can do with this bike, to be honest. Just know that that's nice. Feels nice. Something's happened. Oh, someone crashed. Wow. Feels pretty good doing on the Multistrada. The Multistrada was actually, as I'm waiting for Bernd, the first travel sort of adventure bike that I was ever riding on. When I still was riding my Harley, I switched bikes with a guy that had a Multistrada, and a much older version than this one, of course, and that was the first experience on an adventure bike that kind of switched me to looking at adventure bikes. Also the fact that I was looking at different kinds of travel that I wanted to do. So this is a Ducati that kicked it off. I ended up buying the BMW, for those of you who know the channel, and then switched to KTM, but that's why I was curious to ride this one. Of course, we get to ride this on the road. I'm sure on the road, the 170 something horsepower that thing has, it's probably quite a riot, and it would be interesting to see how that 4-cylinder engine works. So at the moment it feels funny because I think the handlebars are adjusted to work in the standing up position. When I'm sitting down, it feels they have too much forward, kind of thing. The suspension is rock hard. So not as plush as my KTM one. It feels stiffer. I don't know if it's the setting or if it's just the suspension in itself. I think it's the setting. It's a semi-active suspension system like on the BMW, and I think it's set to it's a very firm mode. But in the suspension department, I'd give it to KTM for sure on this one. And yeah, when you sit down, these handlebars are way too forward to me for road riding. So the tires that are mounted here, those are Hayden K60 Scouts. Now they have the Ranger here on most bikes. This bike still has the Scout on there. And it's really difficult to tell, but as compared to the meters, you know, I have a fresh set of meters. These are worn Heidenau's. So yeah, it's a little different. I think they were a bit slipperier on some of the muddy sections, not this stuff necessarily, but the muddy sections. And but how cool is this? You get to ride this kind of stuff, and you know, you get a feel for the suspension, how the bike handles, you know, how the throttle response is on the bike, which is very smooth. Well done. But if I have to compare it again to the R that I have, the old R, the suspension is definitely, it's harder, and it's yeah, not as progressive. It's hard to say what it is, but it's not as good as on my bike for sure. It's noticeable difference to the Ducati. So for those of you guys that don't know, I'm riding behind a 2-time world champion in Supermoto. So the shifter, my big boot is not set correctly. Get the second gear, that was a bit of a struggle. Aha, here we go. Was effortless for this bike, no problem. Put in the first gear, nice. Yeah, so the gear shift is a bit of an issue right now, but that's a matter of settings. I would have to set that shift a little differently because I'm getting stuck with my big Alpine Star boots. It's really cool that you get to try these bikes out here, you know, if it's just a couple rounds and get a feel for it. Especially in this stuff here, we need to stay really balanced on the bike. Yeah, a couple rounds and you really sort of get the hang of it on this bike. Balance is quite nicely too. So if I had to compare again against my KTM, maybe I'd say a little less top heavy, but you know, by a hair at best. So yeah, this is the stuff where it feels a little more slippery than mine. Just how the wheels plant, I can, you know, just slippery more. Yeah, it's more a tire thing and nothing to do with the bike. But I feel a lot more confident on mine with my tire choice that I have. Those are just meters. Also the rear, it's like slipping quite a bit. You know, it has that solid center strip if you don't know on the height now. So you can tell it's definitely noticeable. But it's also interesting to ride on different tires because I'm not really used to many other tires than the Mitas and maybe the NRQ Wild that I had a long time ago, but you know, I wasn't really riding off-road then. So I don't know if we're gonna go for a third round, but to summarize this, this little sort of off-road, peek into the off-road capabilities of the Ducati Multistrada 4S, I think it is. It's pretty good. What I like, throttle response in the engine is surprisingly good. It's done amazing jobs on the electronics. The balance is good. I like that. Other things I like on my bike better is definitely the suspension. Not sure if that gives extra travel too. I don't know how much suspension travel, but in general, the way this is set up compared to how mine is set up at the moment, mine is also in sort of sportiest setting, so it's firm, but this is sort of, yeah, maybe it's too stiff. I don't know. But this stuff, you can feel this, you know, when the bumps hit the front end, and it's just like kind of like my S model, you know, the KTM S model. That was sort of like that a bit. Yeah, this stuff. Awesome bike. It would be great to take it on the road and ride it there. But so far, I mean, you sit on it and, you know, I feel right at home. Actually, I'm sitting on it the first time. So the seat is hard to gauge at the moment. You have to ride it for a longer time on traffic. But yeah, I would have to change the shifter a little bit or to suit me a bit better. But good bike, nice. I'm so glad to ride it. Anyway, guys, if you found this interesting, useful, really, it's just a small glimpse into a short test ride. Give me a like, put a comment in the comment section, you got questions. And there's not often the chance that you can ride this bike off-road. Yeah, I don't know where else would you do it if you wouldn't come here to the Enduro Action Team to take one of these things off-road. They're partnered up with Ducati, so that's why they have these bikes. Let's top it off with some more bumps. This is the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I see you in the next video. Until then, ride safe, stay awesome. Fährt sich echt gut, hätte ich nicht gedacht, ja. Also relativ schnell klarkommen als KTM-Fahrer, super weiter Lenker. Das ist richtig so, das hatte ich an der Harley mal sowas, also Beachbar-Lenker. Ne, fährt sich gut, fährt sich richtig gut. Vor allem die Gasannahme ist super geil. Ist richtig super geschmeidig irgendwie.
Das kann leider KTM immer noch nicht so schön.
Nee, keine Chance. Also das ist ein Riesenunterschied und das macht die wirklich gut.
Die ohnehin auf 100 PS runter, glaube ich, ne? Oder sowas.
Die KTM?
Hier die?
Nee, die hat jetzt 170 PS.
Die braucht man ja auch.
Selber?
Sonst kommt man echt nicht voran.
Eine GS. Spaß gemacht.
Ja. Das ist cool. Der Andi hat oben noch ein Foto gemacht, schön. Mal gucken, ob das was geworden ist.
Und eine Alternative auf den ersten Blick zu KTM oder eher nicht?
Oh, das ist schwer zu sagen. Ich glaube, ich müsste auf der Straße fahren.
Du trägst natürlich das KTM-Shirt.
Ich finde es ja auch gut, mal irgendwas anderes zu fahren.
Ja.
Mir kommt es aufs Fahren an. Das Moped ist zweitrangig, Tatsache.
Das hat in allen Belangen passen. Ne?
Ja. Aber die ist bestimmt auch auf der Straße ziemlicher Rocker, das Ding.